is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you. Om Klim Kali Ke Namah. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. Don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. Book your consultation today. I can help you with anything. And if you'd like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps to support this channel. Okay, let's get into this video. Now, I've noticed lately that people don't change. When you're younger, you think that once you get older, you're going to become more mature and that the people around you will become more mature. But as I'm getting older, I realize that is not the case. And I realize why is because people don't evolve. Evolution is not what we think it is. It's not what we were told. A lot of spiritual information is not talked about in the mainstream. And I wouldn't say exactly it's suppressed because we have the ability and the access of these books at our own fingertips. But this is actually not taught in school for a reason. And it is suppressed in a way so that we turn to technology instead of realizing that we are supposed to advance ourselves by using spiritual practice. This is why such things like virtual reality and Neuralink are becoming options for people, because they're not realizing that evolution takes place within the brain and it doesn't involve putting technology within it. That's actually used by the mainstream in order to control you. But what is true evolution of a human being? Well, like science does explain to us that we only use a small percentage of our brain. And so true evolution is the ability to awaken the dormant parts in the brain. Now, mainstream science will tell us that there is no way to do that, but that is not true because we have ancient knowledge which goes back to even before the Bible, which is the knowledge of Hinduism. And even before that, this is as long as we can see, but probably way before that. So the knowledge of yoga, actual yoga, which means opening up the parts of your brain which help you to become enlightened. Tantra, which does the exact same thing, like Kriya Yoga, for example, or meditation. There's many different ways of doing this, and it's always been like this. But we are in Kali Yuga, which is a very low consciousness. So people are somewhat in the dark when it comes to how to evolve. This is why people don't change. If you truly want to change yourself and you want to change your life, you open up the parts of the brain. There's many techniques, as I mentioned. Now, what I've noticed with people is they always go back to what they know. I'll give you an example, because before I was an astrologer, I was a rapper for most of my life and hung around nothing but rappers for most of my life. What I've noticed is they're still rapping, which is fine. If you're an artist, you should stay an artist. We are all artists, as a matter of fact. But the industry itself is a lie. It feeds you this dream that isn't obtainable, because the industry is run by nepotism. So I've watched there's people who are actually way older than me, who are in their 40s or 50s even, and 60, still hanging on to this dream that one day they'll be famous, still performing for free 20, 30, 40 years later, still holding on to that maybe they'll get discovered someday and their life will change and they'll become a multi-millionaire and they'll be famous and all of this, when there's no way that all of these people have the same birth chart. So there's no way that all of these people have the same life purpose. Your life purpose is very unique to you, and the way you get there is very unique. It's a very small percentage that are actually meant to be in this industry. This is because of the ego. This is because they never opened up the dormant parts of their brain. Because if they did, then they would see the world as infinite and the infinite possibilities, and they would realize who they truly are, and they wouldn't be chasing a mirage that was fed to them as children. My generation, we were fed to be a rapper or an athlete, right? Which is kind of the same now for the younger generation, but you guys have more of social media and like TikTok to be a TikTok star and things like that. Basically the same thing in a different way. And that is the only way that you will feel accomplished. This is done on purpose, because where are these people now? Everybody that I know that was rapping either ended up in jail or rehab or dead, because the music was very Tomasic, very Rajastic, about killing or about just money and just things that really don't matter. This is where you end up. When that's all you care about, you get lost. So if you truly want to evolve and you want to figure out who you are, you must open up the dormant parts of the brain, because now you will have access to information that you've never had access to before. You'll start seeing the world in a different perspective, and different opportunities will come to you. You will realize yourself is way more than just this life. This is another reason why people get lost, because they think this is all there is. It's a YOLO kind of life. You only live once, so try everything, which is not true. You're going to keep coming back here until you realize that you're supposed to ascend, until you reach moksha, enlightenment. This is the part of the game that is not taught to people. So people who are younger than me, and even people who are older than me, I want you to know that you have to figure out how to live in not just this life, but the universe. Everything you do is going to affect you in your next life. So if you're solely focused on that purpose of being rich or your profession or even just your family, you're going to get lost in this false identity, which is the ego. There is so much more to you than this. And that's what these spiritual practices do. They start to awaken you to realize who you actually are without this. If I took away your profession, your family, your past, your future, if I took away all of this, who are you? Why are you here? This is why people get stuck. This is why people don't change or evolve, because they never ask themselves, who am I? Why am I here? Why did I take this incarnation? What happens after this? Maybe they'll contemplate it for a couple of minutes, maybe over a few drinks or smoking some weed, and then contemplate that and then never think about it again. But I want you to actually think about that. That is the most important thing. Because once you start on that path of questioning these things, the questions don't end there. They will keep going. And the more that you question these things, you actually get the answers. And the answers come through the spiritual practice. And when you get so good at that, that the parts of your brain start opening up, you're going to have nonstop aha moments of understanding not just who you are, but what has been blocking you this whole time. Why you keep making the same mistakes, why you keep going back to the same people, why do things keep happening in these cycles? Every time this planet hits this part of my chart, I always do this. Why do I always do this? But guess what? You're in charge of that. That's the samskaras. That is your unconscious mind that keeps making unconscious decisions. And now when you do the spiritual practice, these unconscious decisions will become conscious, and then you're not going to make them anymore. And once you stop making the same decisions that you used to make, now you're becoming free. The more you realize this, you're going to realize who you are beyond this. And when you realize who you are beyond all these attachments that you have to this identity, this ego, this personality, even this knowledge that you have. Say you study astrology, beyond astrology. Say you didn't know astrology. Say you didn't even know any of this. Who are you really? Because the answer is always God. But what does it mean to be God? It's very deep. It means that you are all there is. You're everything. You're everything. And once you realize you're everything, you're going to start acting a lot different. When you realize you're beyond just this life, life is going to change. It will never go back the same. I want you to really contemplate that, because then you're going beyond, and then you're getting ready for your next life, which is the purpose of being here. And then eventually you can get off of the cycle of reincarnation and you can ascend. In Buddhism, they talk about a man who ended up killing people, multiple people, who became enlightened. So it doesn't matter. You could say, oh, I'll never be enlightened because of this, or I've done this. It doesn't matter. You start now. You have infinity. Or you can go to sleep. You have two choices. You can red pill, blue pill. This is the actual red pill or blue pill. It's not about not working for somebody and being like Andrew Tate. That's not about that. It's about getting out of the cycle of reincarnation and becoming aware of who you truly are. So this is just something for you to think about, that I wish someone told me when I was younger, or I wish that I connected earlier to know this. But a lot of you are younger than me, and even if you're older than me, it's never too late to understand this, because the less attachments you have, the easier it's going to be for you to transition out of this life, and the easier your life will become. And fantastic, because all these opportunities are going to come to you, and not the same opportunities that you keep recycling over and over every time there's a different cycle of the planets and you just repeat the same things over. No, let's do something different. Let's create something completely different that we couldn't even imagine 5 minutes ago. I believe in you. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one.